I'm Rita Millat, and today I will be going through my home office, showing you how you can change the way you feel in your home. There is three words that are so important for me when it comes to interior design. I feel it's rethink, reinvent, and reconnect to your space, because design has this magical power to transform the way we feel. You can go from feeling a bit low or stressed to feeling instantly calm if you create an environment that will assist you and help you with that. So I will invite you all, when you're thinking about a space, even if it's a tiny room like this one, and make it a home office or whatever you want to create, rethink the space and then reinvent it. Forget what you might like or what you used to like, and think, what do I need now to feel better in this space? And then just go from there, rather than going from what somebody else is doing or what is the trend. Design is very personal to each one of us, so think about it in a personal way. Now, at the start of the day, the bureau, the desk is closed. And then I normally open the desk, get my laptop out, and try to see what I'm working on today. Now, I'm going to show you some of the items that normally they don't belong to a desk, but for me, they're very personal in a way. So I've got a candle holder and one of my favorite colored candles. Then I've got my paint brushes, because I do sit sometimes and sketch on this desk as well. I keep them in a nice jug. I mean, this is normally used in the kitchen, but we use it wherever we want to use it, right? And then like an ornament from my friend, a cat that I love. We need to surround ourselves with things that make us feel good. And one of the things that inspire me all the time are vintage books. So if you go to antique centers or antique fairs, even car boards, you can find these beautiful vintage books. And what I find them inspiring, all the covers normally, they have beautiful combination of color or print, or maybe the font, even how they wrote it. And I find it so inspiring, either for a room color palette, and why not get inspired by the past, or even for an outfit. I recently bought a jumper that has these two tones because I thought they looked beautiful. So get inspired by everything around you. Don't limit yourself just to things that are interior related. There's inspiration everywhere you look at. I can't help it by showing you how you can change the purpose of a chair, like this rocking chair I've got. So the day I don't want it to be in the office anymore, I don't want just to throw it away. I'm going to try to think about it in a different way. And I think chairs, vintage chairs, are perfect sometimes to be used as a bedside table, because they're just different. And I love the colors, all the detail that goes with it. So I'm going to show you how you can style it as a bedside table. If it was me, I would put a couple of books, my favorite design books. I will put my new purchase recently from an antique fair, vintage lamp. I just adore her. I think she's just super cool. Her name is Bernadette, by the way, if you want to know. And I will get this lovely mug that my dear friend made for me. And I think, as a reminder of her, I want it to be always by my side. So it would be by my bedside table, and I put some air plants in it. And here you go. You can transform an old chair that is sometimes unloved, unwanted, into a bedside table that will bring you joy every time you look at it. Call it office, call it home office. I like to call it as well my creative zone, because when you're a creative person, you need to enter to the zone to create. So it always starts, anything I design or think about, it always starts from a starting point. And in this case, it was this beautiful artwork of a horse painted into a fabric. I started the whole color scheme around it, and furniture and the feel of my home office. I will take you through what is the story behind the artwork because it's such an amazing story and it's so close to my heart. I'm originally from Lebanon, but I was born in Iraq, in Baghdad, due to back home, we had a war in the late 70s. But at the age of 9, we had to escape the Gulf War. And one of the only items that my mother packed, folded, and took it in our suitcases was this horse. Now, she cannot remember where she got it from, why it was the only item in the household that she decided to take with us. But I know I'm very grateful because she passed it down to me. Now, after that, this lovely piece moved to Cyprus because we couldn't go back to Lebanon because it was a civil war there. And then I was 10, we moved back to Lebanon, and I live in my own country for the first time in my life. Fast forward, 2006, I was 24, and we had another war in Lebanon. And this time we had the privilege to be able to come to the UK for safety. And I've been here since. However, again, this was the only item my mom folded, packed it in her backpack this time, and brought it to the UK. Now, he never been hung on a wall. He never been displayed on a table as a tablecloth or anything. He was always folded for all these years. As far as she's remember, he's around maybe 40-year-old. And she passed it down to me because she knew that one day I would find a purpose for him. And I did. Finally, he's hung in my office space or my creative corner, I'd like to call it. And this is where there's a power in interior design because it's all about storytelling. And sometimes we tell our own stories in our homes or through art or furniture or color scheme or whatever we've picked for the house. But this one, some of you might think it's a sad story. And yes, part of it is sad and traumatic. However, I feel it's a very positive piece. It's a very positive, beautiful story because we are safe. We live in a country that we love. And I get to be the woman I'm always wanted to be, a creative woman, an interior designer, following my dreams. And finally, the horse, et voila, he's hung on a wall and he's part of my story, my mother's story, our family story. And when I look at him with joy and pride rather than sadness. So sometimes in life, let's try to shift maybe a very traumatic or sad event, shift it to be a positive, more happy one. And I invite you all to see beauty wherever you are because it does exist. Look at it, dig in, try to find beautiful things wherever you look at because life is simply very beautiful. Now, when I looked at the horse as an artwork, it has a lot of colors in it. It has terracotta, it has greens, more like a mustardy, muted color, beiges, brown. And then I had to sit down and think how I would like to feel in my office space. You know me, I like a bit of both. I like to have neutral environment and I like to have bright environment. However, for me to be able to work, I knew my space has to make me feel calm. And calmness to me come with lighter colors, muted colors to work. To sleep, funny enough, my bedroom is a very dark green. And this is where I feel at home and cocooned and safe to sleep. So for the space here, I picked the lighter tone from the beiges you see in the painting, and I decided to paint the walls with it. Have you thought recently as well about the idea of reducing waste in general, right? And this is where upcycling comes in. I decided to fall in love with wooden trays. Now, apart from falling in love in every old object, I'm adding to my list wooden trays. And the reason behind it is I feel a lot of us now want maybe practical trays. You know, they don't want those old, big, heavy wooden trays. Are we going to just leave them to waste? No. So I came up with this idea of using them as part of artwork. And I got some of them and I started to paint on them. Now, this was interesting because what I painted is not what I normally paint. So there was no abstract female form or humans. It was actually countryside things. So I had a duck, and I'm going to show you one I have in the office right there, which is a fish. So I decided to use this wooden and rattan vintage tray that I fell in love with. Look at all the details. But I understand why maybe it's not practical for a tray, but how beautiful it is to become an artwork, a painting. And I think this is one of the items you can get your family involved. If you have kids, they can get involved with that. The paint I've used, again, to try to reduce waste. As a designer, I've noticed, or you too as well, we have a lot of sample pots of paint. And sometimes they are half empty and we don't know what to do with it. And a way, again, to upcycle and reuse your paint is to create artwork with it, because you're not spending more money to buy paint. You've got it already. Let's try to repurpose things. Let's try to reduce waste and be creative together. Get your friends involved, get your kids involved, get your partner involved, get the whole street involved with you to create artwork using old vintage trays. You may ask as well, why a fish? Firstly, because it reminds me of my father. He used to love fishing in the summer. And I feel this brings the countryside to my office without having to be outside. So this is my vintage tray transformation. I look forward to see yours. I will be at the Christmas show running from the 26th to the 30th of November. Grab your ticket from our website now. Thanks so much for watching. This has been Rita Millat. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and watch more interviews from the Ideal Home Show right here on your YouTube channel.